first of all, let's deal with the elephant in the room here. The gas in my chair has gone. Right? I say it's gone. It's sort of I've got a bit of leakage going on, right? So I did a video over on Patreon with Gio yesterday to play a rating. So I sort of started off here, and the video, I think it was an hour and 5 minutes. By the end of it, just over the course of the video, I basically ended up down here. So apparently there's something you can do. You can get a replacement canister. I've not done it yet. It all seems a little bit technical for me. So you might want to keep your eye on videos and see where I start and where I end, particularly if I do another whopper like I did the other day. What did I do? 29 minutes, 31? I don't know. I did a lot of minutes anyway. So what today we're going to talk about is, as I'm sure you noticed from the thumbnail and the description, the London Stadium. And it's sometimes there's a sort of nothing story, and then you look at it and you think, oh, hold on, there's something in here. And that's what I believe has happened. The story is that they're going to fit basically a massive solar panel, a roof membrane on the London Stadium to eventually make it a net zero stadium. So it's completely green, it's completely energy efficient, and it has been Sadiq Khan has signed off on this deal. It's being taken out of a fund. It's going to cost about £5 million, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to retrofit the roof with this solar panel membrane. Now, a little bit of history on the stadium. I'm sure a lot of you know this, but we'll go through it just quickly anyway. West Ham initially, we wanted to buy the stadium, and it was agreed. A sale was agreed. West Ham were going to buy the stadium. Daniel Levy and Barry Hearn complained, or should I say Tottenham and Leyton Orient, not to point any fingers at any individuals. And then at that, they said that it wasn't fair. I think Tottenham were looking at Stratford as a possible relocation, because it proved pretty difficult for them to build the new stadium pretty much on the site of the old one, which is what they've done. Fantastic stadium, Tottenham Stadium, by the way. But they were looking at the potential for moving to Stratford, so they said this isn't fair. Leyton Orient complained and said, "Oh, what is this mob doing on our manor?" And even though, to be fair, they were in Waltham Forest and not in Newham, but anyway, that doesn't matter. So in the end, it went out to tender as basically a rented venue. West Ham couldn't buy it. West Ham went in, West Ham won the tender. West Ham are now tenants rather than owners of the former Olympic Stadium, right? Now, the thing is, it was still the intention, and I've spoken to people within the club about this over the years, it was still the intention that West Ham would look to take it over, because the tenancy was so stacked so favourably in West Ham's favour that you sort of got the impression that eventually there's all different things. There's E20, there's the LLDC, there's all these arm's length management organisations which are set up to basically run the stadium on behalf of London, of the Mayor's office, basically, of the London Assembly. But it loses a lot of money. At its worst, it loses £30 million a year. It just hemorrhages loads and loads and loads. At its best, £15 million a year. So it was believed that there would come a point where they would all grow sick of it and say, "Oh, do you know what? Just let West Ham have it." I think that's done now with the news about this solar panel, and I'll tell you why I think that. Well, I mean, firstly, the stadium makes massive losses because it is a bit of a white elephant. It was never meant to be as big as it is now, right? Anyone that went to the Olympics was great, by the way, but it was a 90,000-seater stadium. The footprint of the stadium is the same as Wembley. But now we've got 60,000 seats in there. It doesn't quite work, does it? You know, there's big gaps. It's very cavernous. It's not just a gap between the pitch and the front row of seats. There's all these big areas where you've got the trampolines and big areas between the two stands. It's a bit of a mishmash, basically. We're trying to make it a football stadium. It's not one. It was actually meant to be deconstructed. Straight away after the games, deconstructed. No, the games, then they were going to hold the World Championships in 2013, World Athletics Championships. Then it was meant to be deconstructed. And just the bottom bit, the bowl, the concrete section, which is permanent, was meant to be a 25,000-seater athletic stadium. The top section, which is all the metal stuff and all that, was temporary, was meant to not be there anymore. That's why we're constantly having to do repairs on the stadium. That's why they built that big cantilever roof, the biggest cantilever suspension roof in Europe, or whatever the boast was at the time. It was strange, mate, hearing Karen Brady at the time making an engineering boast, which has sort of largely escaped me by now. But anyway, the point of the matter is, it's financially, it's an inefficient stadium. Now, what's happened is the Mayor's office have said that they're going to build this membrane and the solar panel. Now, it's going to take, apparently, 11 years for it to generate enough energy for it to break even to pay back the amount of money it's going to cost for the installation of this roof. And then hopefully it will produce enough energy, and they've been very specific with this, it's going to produce enough energy for 20 football matches, 2 baseball matches and a concert. By saying that, they're basically admitting that this solar panel roof is not going to produce enough energy to run the stadium all year round. And actually that's okay, because this move is not about the stadium being green. It's not about that. This move is a statement. It's a political statement by London, by Sadiq Khan, are basically saying London is green. London has the intention to go green. It's a flagship. That's what it is. In many respects, it's a virtue signal. It'll do very little. In terms of the investment, it's going to do very, very little. But the fact that they're going to make such a fuss about it means that West Ham, I don't think, are ever likely to own a stadium. I say ever, certainly not in the short to medium term at all. They're making it, basically, they're going to make an example of it. Sadiq Khan's got very involved in this. He has basically personally signed off on the funding from the Green Energy Fund. Now, this is a fund that is obviously been put in place to make London greener, to bring the UK, or London in particular, more in line with the rest of the world, because we're well behind, despite all the political posturing. England are well behind in terms of green energy and whatnot, and for that reason, it's just not going to do well for West Ham at all. And I think this is going to completely just end any hopes we have of owning the stadium. I'll explain in more detail why in just a second. Before I do, can I please point in the direction of today's sponsor, Surfshark? Let me tell you a story. Last week, I got an email from, it looked like it was from PayPal. I mean, it was really good. It had the logo, it had everything. It was so tempting for me to click on it, but actually wasn't. It was a ruse. And had I clicked on the link in this email, which then whoever was doing it would have had access, could have got remote access to my computer. This is not unusual, actually, as Tom Jones said. A couple of weeks ago, I had a really weird email, and it basically said, "We have been unable to deliver your parcel today, so we've taken your parcel back to the depot. And to get it redelivered, click here." Now, the thing is, it almost did me, because I was due to have a parcel delivered that day. We all do now, right? There's so much. How many parcels do you get delivered? How many things do you get delivered on a weekly basis? It happens all the time, right? And the funny thing was, this is what they're doing. They're fishing, basically. And the timing of this email was perfect, absolutely perfect. And I thought, I want to rearrange for my parcel to be delivered. Again, I almost clicked on it. I double checked. Again, it was another fraud. It was another thing to try and get my details. My point is, everyone's trying to get your details at the moment, and you're going to need protection. You need protection basically on your mobile phone, on your laptop, on your computer. And for that, you're going to need a VPN. The VPN is going to encrypt everything you do. Basically, you've got an open window at the moment. If you don't have a VPN, you've got an open window where people can look in. Your internet provider can look in. You probably don't realise it when you're ticking that little box and you're ticking the terms and conditions, that they can have a little look in. Now, I'm not suggesting they're snooping around for a minute, but you do a lot of stuff online that you don't want people to see. I don't want people getting I'm not talking about that either. I don't want people seeing my banking details. My banking's online. My banking's on my phone. It's all there, and I just do not want anyone to get it. So for that reason, use a VPN. At the moment, we've got a great deal with Surfshark. Now, all you've got to do, basically, you're going to get 4 months extra of Surfshark for free if you go and use the link below. I've been using it for 3 years. Gio's been using it for, I think, 2 or 3 years as well himself. The link's in the description below. It's surfshark.com/hammerschat. If you use that link, they'll know you've come from Hammers Chat. But there are so many reasons why you should have your internet browsing and your computer usage and your phone usage. Got it on my phone as well. That should be encrypted. You do not want people getting hold of that stuff, because there are any number of people who are out there and they are looking to defraud you. So go and check it out. Links in the description below. That's at surfshark.com/hammers chat. Right. Let me get back to this energy thing. I don't want people to think I'm basically being overly negative about net zero and green energy. I think green energy is really, really, really good. But I just don't think we're particularly serious about it in this country. That's why I think this is more of a virtue signal. And here's my point. If they're going to make a big fuss of it, if basically the mayor's office is going to be saying, look at our stadium, look at our wonderful former Olympic stadium, this is the legacy of it. It's now completely green. We're going to put more money in it. They don't care that it's losing money. It loses money hand over fist. It's going to be a beacon. It's going to be a statement. They're not going to give it to West Ham. Honestly, if England was... Look, we are very, very lucky in this country, right? We're an island. We're surrounded by tidal coastlines, tidal estuaries. If we were really serious about green energy, we could do it. And we could do it with far more advantage than most of the rest of the countries in the world. The fact of the matter is we lag far behind. A lot of this stuff is just political posturing. If they wanted to do net zero, they could do it. Now, I'll tell you why. Somewhere like, we lag behind so many. We're nowhere near the top. Scotland's getting there, but England's, but the very top countries like Norway, and they've got 98%, renewable energy. Pretty much mostly hydropower. And people might say, well, they got the fjords and they got all the stuff there. Look, we can do this stuff as well. Costa Rica is ahead of us. Costa Rica's near the top. Iceland, Nicaragua, Kenya. A lot of these countries have got... Basically, if you're serious, here's my point. If you are serious about renewable... Uruguay. If you're serious about renewable energy, you will go and do it. We don't. Realistically, a lot of this stuff... A lot of this money, it would be far better reinvested in something along the Thames estuary or some hydropower or something like that on a national level, coastal. You could do the Bristol Channel. There's so much. Honestly, realistically, that money could be invested in a scheme that could provide energy for millions of homes, rather than throwing a load of money at a football stadium where it will cover the energy usage for most of the events while they're in progress. But once you start adding all the energy in for the whole stadium for the year, because it's not like when the football stops, that place gets switched off. There's offices in there. There's loads and loads of stuff going on in there. So it just can't do it. I think you get my point. It's a massive vanity project. This is what's going on here. And it's not like I overly blame them for doing it. I think I'm not suggesting it's a bad thing to have the London Stadium produce 90% of its own energy. I think that's a good thing. I think it's a step in the right direction. I like green energy. I think it's good. I really do. But I don't want to sit here. I don't want to pretend that this is not a serious green energy project. It's PR, basically. It's a PR stunt that will return some energy. But I do think if you're going to do a PR stunt, and if you can use something for to basically signal, that's what they're doing. They're going to signal to the globe how green their intentions are, London. And they do other things. You've got the bikes, and but you know how this thing works, right? And I just can't see it. I can't see it. I think if what they're going to do, and this is what appears to be the case, they're going to make London Stadium their flagship for renewable energy in the capital, they're not going to sign that over to West Ham. So I think you can just forget it. I think so. And because of that, I think we're stuck in the stadium. I think we're probably stuck with the configuration the way it is. I don't think the seats are going to get any closer. I think it's the end of that. I think you're still going to see massive gaps between the top tier and the bottom tier. I think you'll see some peripheral stuff done, like the carpet, like the slight squaring off of the stands. Has it made much of a difference? No. It's really not. It's cavernous. It's still, far too far from the pitch. And as you've probably seen, because it was all over social media, it has once again been voted the worst stadium in the Premier League. And it's not just us that vote on it. Away fans vote on it. And it's not they're being nasty to West Ham, because they used to vote Upton Park was always really, really high because they thought it was an intimidating place to go. And it's, yeah, there you go. Anyway, just my thoughts on the subject. Let me know what you think in the comments below. But as far as I can see, West Ham owning London Stadium, I think it's all over.